welcome to Anastasia Chorna's show. I'm Anastasia Chorna, and today I am bringing my first guest on my show to interview about her immigration story, to share her experiences with you so that hopefully it will be helpful in any kind of way for you guys. So today I'm really excited to welcome Tammy Stroeble, my longtime friend, actually my first friend that I made here in LA 5 years ago. It's been almost 5 years.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It's crazy, time flies. And Tammy is also an immigrant. Tammy.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from?
Yeah. So I am originally from Germany, from a small town called Radolfzell, Germany. Don't feel bad if you don't know where it is. Nobody knows. It's a small town close to Switzerland, and I was born and raised there, and lived there until I came to the United States.
And how old were you when you came here?
I was 19 years old, yeah, when I came here for the first time. And how that actually happened was we actually had family friends in California who moved here when I was only, I think, like 10 years old. But anyway, so I actually had I was visiting every once in a while, and I just fell in love with the United States. There was just something about it. Also, I was an impressionable little kid. I came here for the first time when I was only 10 just to visit, and I was like, oh my gosh, everything's so much bigger and this and that, and I don't know, I just like fell in love. And so I would visit them every once in a while, and then I was like, okay, I want to have the abroad experience. And so what I did was, after high school, there were a few programs where you could spend a year abroad, like working. And so I chose an au pair program, or like a nanny program, where you live with a family and they match you, and then you get to work. They take care of everything. It's very convenient. If any of you guys, you know, feel like, if you're abroad and you just want to see how is it, like, there are so many work and travel programs. You can go as an au pair. I don't know how it is during COVID. Probably wait, I'm throwing enough possible right now.
They might be closed at this point, but
yeah, probably.
Yeah, just for the time being.
So after high school, after I graduated high school, I lived in North Carolina for a year and worked there as a nanny. I really liked it. I was like, okay, this is cool. I actually wanted to stay longer, but we weren't in time to extend my visa because I came here, I mean, that was like 2007, I believe. Yes, 2007, so things probably have changed now. But I came here, yeah, on a visa. And
what was the visa?
I actually don't know. It was something that, like, the agency basically took care of.
And it was the visa that probably allowed you to work legally in the country, right? Mm-hmm. To have legal employment, and at the same time, yeah, you had a right to stay here for a certain period of time. How long was the visa?
It was just 1 year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we wanted to extend it, but we weren't in time. That's another thing, like, you have to make sure that you're always very early if you want to extend something. I was too late, so I went back to Germany. I missed the USA so much that I actually came back to the United States, to California, to live with our family friends, and I had a student visa for that.
To get the student visa, did you apply for it yourself from Germany, or did you... Okay, you did. There's another option. You can be inside the United States with whatever visa you have, and before it ends, like Tammy said, you do have an opportunity to change your status and apply for a different type of visa. There's different intricacies that go into it, but you are capable of applying and changing your status before whatever you have ends.
I took care of it, everything from Germany. Yeah.
Was it a complicated process?
No, not really. And I had to have proof that I'm actually going to school, so I did all of that first, and then I went to the embassy in Germany. I had an appointment there. I think it was in Munich. It was fairly easy. I don't know exactly how it is now, because that was, I think, in 2008, so it was a while ago, but I remember it as being fairly easy.
Okay,
yeah.
What was the college?
It was actually, I went to community college in Fresno, California.
It's well known for the best educational programs in the country.
Yes, absolutely, as well as car theft and a meth problem, and I'm so sorry.
We're being honest.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, I'm so grateful for the time, and I'm
Right.
so grateful for the opportunity, and I'm so sorry if anybody's from Fresno. I apologize. I actually did enjoy my time. I lived there for 4 years, actually.
I believe that when you're choosing the place where you want to go, especially if you are not inside the country and you're just looking for a different place for yourself, but even if you're here, I still believe you've got to do some research to make sure that you don't end up in a bad neighborhood, because every city has its good and bad neighborhoods. And when I'm talking about good or bad, right, I'm talking about safety. I'm talking about level of transportation that will be available to you, and the schools, the stores, especially if you don't have a car, you might want to have something or a place where you will be able to access any of that by just walking to it. When you were choosing school to go to, why did you choose college over university?
I wasn't quite sure, I guess, what I wanted to do, because I was always set on studying acting, but then a few things happened where I changed my mind. And also the other thing was because community college was a lot cheaper than university, and especially I was paying an international student fee, and that's another thing to consider. Is like, if you know anyone like you guys are interested in going to school here, I paid 11 times as much as the in-state student would pay, because there's the international student price, then there's the out-of-state. If let's say you move from Colorado to California and go to school, and then there's the in-state price where you're actually an in-state resident of a particular state. I chose that, and also because I was so lucky to be able to live with our family friends at the time. For me at the time, it wasn't even so much about the education, it was more about, I love the United States, I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna find a way.
I feel like everything is possible for us to achieve as long as we are willing to do anything possible to make sure it is done. Because throughout the years that I have been here, I've also had many friends who have considered moving to the States as well from the country that I'm from. And I would always tell them that it is best to get to the country and then change your status to something more long-term, and start working on your immigration, actual like official immigration, working towards getting a green card and then citizenship from the inside of the country. It is much easier, it is much faster, and it will be much cheaper as well. So how long were you in college for?
In Fresno, I was only there for 2 years, because usually with community colleges, it's only like you get your classes that you need, and then you transfer to a 4-year university where you continue your education. And so when I finally made my mind up, I was doing business first, and I was like, nah, it's not for me. And then I did psychology, which I love, but then I was like, I have that fire for theater, I gotta do it. And then I switched for theater, and then once I got all my theater courses done, I was able to transfer to a 4-year university.
Was that also in Fresno?
No, that was actually in Fullerton, California, which is in Orange County. So yeah, I made my way from Central California to Southern California.
All right. Were you, all that time you were on student visa?
No, that was actually I think I wasn't on it for very long, because I did meet my then husband while I was going to college in Fresno, and then we decided to get married, because we wouldn't have gotten married probably if it wasn't easier with my status, at least not so soon, but we just figured it would be helpful to do that. So yeah, we got married, then my visa, I was able to get the green card.
How was that process for you? Did it take a long time? Did you use an immigration lawyer to help you file the paperwork?
Yeah, we did have an appointment with a lawyer just to help us with the paperwork, because we just wanted to make sure that everything is okay, and that it's not like, a lot back and forth, and like a lot of the lingo can be a little bit difficult to understand. But I remember the process actually at the time, I think that was in 2009, it was fairly easy. I mean, what we had to do, when we had to file the paperwork, of course, and evidence and the marriage certificate, etc. We also were invited to an interview where they made sure that everything was legit, and this was, we're actually, in love and actually getting married, which was the fact. It was fairly like at the beginning of our relationship, and we were like so head over heels. And yeah, like there was like the lady was like, yeah, no, you guys are good, we can tell. So yeah, if you know there are some suspicions, then they would probably do that for sure.
How much time did pass from the time that you applied, submitted the first paperwork, or probably like from the moment that you went to the lawyer to speak about submitting the paperwork for changing immigration status and getting your green card, until the moment that you actually received your green card in hand?
No longer than 6 months. Like it was fairly quick.
During the whole time, you know, from the moment when you actually came here to Fresno and you were a student on your student visa up until the time that you received your work authorization, did you work?
Yeah, I did.
What did you do?
I was working at Walmart, but it was once I got my green card, then I was able to work.
So what about between or until then?
I didn't work.
You didn't work?
No.
What did you, when you were moving here to the States, did you come with some kind of a budget?
Yeah, I had savings. When I finished my au pair year in North Carolina and I went back to Germany, I just worked a lot. And I came here with savings so I could hold myself above water. And oh yeah, the other thing that I did was during the summertime when college was out, I actually went home to Germany to work for a few months. And summer here is like 2 or 3 months you get off. And I went back to Germany and work, and then I came back.
Did you try to get a job on campus? As far as I remember, you are allowed to work about 20 hours a week on campus when you have a student visa.
Oh, I did not know that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so at the time I
didn't. You just studied.
Yeah, I just was a full-time student and put like all my effort into that.
When you were thinking about moving to America, I mean, it's such a huge step. Was your family supportive?
They were, for the most part. I think especially my mom, yeah, she would just do anything for us. Like if we wanted something, like she would help us and find a way to make it happen. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And I definitely have to thank her that this even like worked out in the first place. But I also think they actually didn't think I was gonna stay. They're like, okay, she can just go over there and then she's gonna see it's not as great as she thought it was gonna be, and then she's gonna come home. But here I am still in 2021, so
So it's been how many? About 13 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
So how do you feel about America? Did it meet your expectations? Did it exceed it? Or did it not even come close? I mean, you're obviously here. You like it. You didn't go back. But was there something that was like, oh, okay, so this is what it is?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely some wake-up moments where I'm like, oh, okay, you know, obviously you don't see that in the movies.
What's that? Can you...
Yeah,
do you remember any?
For example, the healthcare is just atrocious in this country. I mean, not the quality, but I mean the whole healthcare system. That's definitely one of those things. Yeah, some of the like infrastructure, like public transportation, also always depends on where you're from. Too, of course, because that's your point of comparison.
Right.
And so there were definitely some moments where I was like, oh, okay, you know, this is not as cool as how it was where I grew up. What I just really loved about the US, like comparing it to where I'm from, is just like the people. Especially, I mean, in Southern California, they're here from all over the world. They're so open and they want to learn about people. Sometimes, yeah, it's more superficial, but it doesn't, like, it bothered me at the beginning, I think, that I felt like, oh, people are more superficial.
It is a reality. It is a reality of Southern California. Mostly like LA County, right? Hollywood is here. There's a lot of like fitness mecca. I don't want to say it's fitness mecca of the world. There's definitely film and TV mecca of the world, and there's a lot of stigma that's associated with that, but even that stigma is based on something. A lot of people kind of starting to create a little more of an image about themselves versus just tapping into what they are, what they want to do, and being true to their nature. So it's not necessarily negative. Was there a difference in the way you were able to connect maybe with people in the state that you were in originally when you were first in the au pair program versus like people here?
I had a lot of au pair friends. Like we would have like monthly meetings, and like they would make sure that people have friends, like the other au pairs. So I was friends with them, but I didn't really have any friends like outside of the group.
Okay. How about comparing maybe to, you know, the Central California, right, Fresno area where you were comparing to Southern California? The reason why I'm asking all that is that I lived in Houston, Texas for 6 years before I moved to LA. I see this clear difference in how I was able to make friends and what kind of people I connected with. It was like much harder to make friends in Texas because a lot of people had already like established group of friends who, you know, they were part of each other's lives from early childhood. It's, you know, kind of like school stuff. But here, I feel like in Southern California, there's so many people coming from all over the world, and I believe like people are more open towards making new friends, even though adults, and I mean, we've all heard about the saying that it's just so much harder to make new friends when you're an adult, right? Versus like when you were little. So was that something that you kind of can relate to, or was it just you were always an outgoing person and you had friends everywhere you went?
Because I already knew, like, because I was staying with a family friends, and they had, I mean, they still do, but like I was friends with 2 of their kids, and so they kind of like adopted me into their group of friends, and that's how I met my husband at the time.
So your husband adopted you?
I mean, just kidding. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Yeah, so I kind of like I was like in their group of friends. Yeah, but then what I also noticed is like, especially once I started doing theater, like everybody also in Central California, like everybody was just so open, and they were, and people, like what I also love is like people are actually curious, like, oh, you know, where are you from? What are you doing? Why are you here? And you might not, you know, like develop that deep friendship at first. I feel like it takes a little while. So overall is I think it's really easy to meet people here. Yeah.
Has your family come to visit you since? Just switching gears a little bit. Like, have they?
They have. Yeah, they came here for the wedding. They also came here like after my graduation for the bachelor's degree. Yeah, but usually because I would go home and then it's just me traveling. Like, for example, if my mom says, oh, I want to go visit Tammy, then all my siblings and everybody's like, oh, I want to come too. And then there's always like this huge group traveling. I mean, which is great, but it's just a little bit more, you know, complicated for them to come over here than me coming over there.
Did they have any fears associated with trying to get a visitor visa to come visit you?
No, that was actually pretty simple. Online, they just submitted their application and then they could get the visa for, I think, 3 months.
Was there any period of time that you spent kind of like in between statuses, or was it a smooth transition for you?
So it was a smooth transition from the student visa to the green card, and how it is with that green card, because I got married, I got a green card at first for 2 years, which was a temporary green card, and then after that I had to reapply and they had to make sure that everything is still cool, and then I got it for 10 years.
Is there something that you want to share with people who are thinking about either making the move, or they're here in this country just fresh out of the boat and they are kind of lost at what to do next and how to go about their own immigration process? Do you have any advice that you want to give to people?
For me, it was like I can't even rationally explain it, but I just knew I had to live here. I'll be honest, it would be much easier for me to stay in Germany, in my home country. It wouldn't be as challenging as here. Also because I chose to live in LA, which is very expensive.
It is true.
It's very competitive, but it's really like about what you want, you know? Like, what do you want? If you know what you want, you just freaking go for it and you do it. And also, of course, an advantage is if you have particular job skills depending on what it is, and when you come over here and they need jobs for that particular market, or if you want to study over here, like that's also another way to come here, or even do one of those programs like work and travel, au pair, that kind of thing, or even just come here for 3 months on the toured visa and like scout it out and go from there.
That's right. There's so many different options and so many different paths that you can take in your immigration journey. One thing that I can definitely tell you is that with time, immigration becomes more and more challenging. The wonderful story that Tammy shared with us does seem like, oh, it's so easy, just just come and just get that, do this, go to school, get married and stuff like that. It's not all that simple. When you look back at the years that you went through, and especially when you start meeting other people who've gone through like a different immigration path, you do start kind of comparing and thinking, oh, it was challenging, but I got it easy than other people might have. If you have this feeling inside that's telling you, I have to be in this country, I'm not meant to live in the country where I was born, then do stick to it, because it is very rewarding at the end.
Yeah, and another thing I just wanted to say is, like, I also think, like, Americans in general, they're very helpful.
Yeah.
And they want to help. And in general, people in this country have this go-getter attitude. It's like, anything's possible, like, you want something, you go make it happen. With my story, I am so grateful that there weren't a lot of challenges, and I guess what my story shows as well is that it doesn't always have to be, like, this crazy challenging, we're, like, down in the gutter and, like, help me, I mean, like, it can be challenging, but it's not always like a freaking horror story.
Nobody's gonna do it for you, but there's all kinds of resources available to you. What would you say was like the hardest out of this whole, last 13 years? What was the hardest thing for you?
When I got divorced. Like, emotionally, for sure. I remember at that time, because it just didn't work out, we weren't right for each other. When I talked to a lawyer, the good news is that if it happens after you get your permanent resident card, it's still possible for you to stay. Like, it's not a problem, because it happens, I mean, people get divorced left and right these days, unfortunately, but it's just the way it is. If you have a green card or you're on a visa, when you move, you have to make sure that the government knows right away. There's a special form you fill out online that they know where you are.
So what's next for you?
I'm gonna go become a psychologist. That's what's next in my journey. I'm reverting back to psychology.
So are you gonna go back to college, or are you gonna go to university?
I'm gonna go back to university and get my master's.
Master's. Are you eligible to apply for citizenship at this point?
I am, yeah. The only thing is, Germany, you're the problem.
Not gonna point out fingers, but
the thing is...
Germany.
Yeah, like...
Oh, here comes Germany! The problem again.
Ooh, the problem.
Okay.
So I could apply for citizenship because I want to, because I know I'm going to stay here at this point. It's my home now. Germany doesn't allow dual citizenship. So what you need is a document from Germany that allows you to take the American citizenship and keep the German one. You have to apply for a certain document that allows you to keep your German citizenship when you take the American citizenship.
And what's this document?
It's called basically Beibehaltungsgenehmigung, and I think it just needs to prove of what ties you still have to Germany, and then you also need to prove of why it is beneficial for you to become an American. Like, for example, if you have kids here, or like your kids are born here, then it's like, yeah, my kids are American, like it just makes sense. Like, it just depends on the situation.
So it's basically, even though Germany does not allow dual citizenship, this document allows you to fall under the exception rules.
Yes.
To where you can actually end up having the dual citizenship.
Yes. Because the only fun thing about this document is you can only apply for it once. And if you don't get it the first time, that's it. So, yeah, it's like,
They
really?
give you one chance.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very strict. Do you feel like there's going to be a difference for you personally in... if you were to get the citizenship versus staying with a green card?
Well, I can vote, which would be nice, because, I live here, I would like to have a say. Jury duty. And I guess the other thing is, because if you're on a green card, like one time I actually went to Germany because of some family stuff. I went there for an extended period of time, and with the green card, I think I couldn't stay more than 9 months. If you have a green card, you can't just go home for like a year or two. They're like, okay, you're gonna lose your green card.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I hope it was very informative for you guys, and I hope you were able to get something out of it. Do let us know in the comments below what you think about this topic, and if you have any questions, do let us know. I'm pretty sure Tammy and I will be able to answer all of them, and do hit that like button and comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interviews and more informative videos that are coming your way in the nearest future. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next video.